It was not exactly the trip to Atlanta that the Commanders wanted, but at least, Anthony, I guess Jayden Daniels will be back next week, right?
I mean, that's one positive to look at, Nick. But, hey, what happened in Atlanta, you got to bring that back and get that thing fixed. Derwin, what do you think?
I just think overall, man, I'm gonna be on the defensive side of this thing, man. The defensive thing, man, they just had to get that fixed faster than we expect. Because, man, right now it's giving us glimpses of what happened in Green Bay early this year.
Hail to the Commanders! It's the Commanders Squad. Everything Washington Commanders every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the heart of the nation's capital. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Rally the burgundy and gold. The Commanders Squad Show starts now.
The Commanders leave Atlanta sitting at 2-2. Marcus Mariota was your quarterback, as we had all the speculation throughout the week and what that was going to look like. We didn't have Terry McLaurin out there as well. Anthony Armstrong, Derwin Gray with us. And, of course, we're going to have David Harrison live jumping on a little bit later after some of the post-game pressers and everything are done here. But, look, I'll start kind of this way is, Derwin, this is your first time popping on the show, so I'll kind of defer to you a little bit first here. From a defensive standpoint, man, I watched the Commanders team that couldn't tackle, that was horrible in the secondary. I saw poor penalties at the wrong time. Now, those were on both sides of the football. But, man, what you mentioned it in the open, right, the defense, and that was really what your focus was. It was insanely frustrating, and I understand how Bijan Robinson is talented and hard to tackle and slippery and all the things that he can do. But, Derwin, when I watched this Commanders defense, it felt like throughout the season, something we've talked about on the show is that like the defense was going to have to carry them early in the year with the offense missing guys in training camp and having to take some time to really work out those issues with the offense and the timing. Well, today, the Commanders defense did not help them at all against the Falcons, Derwin.
And I agree 100%, 110% with that, man. Starting from the jump, it was all one side. It was all Falcons since the opening break from the kickoff. Is all Falcons. I mean, Bijan Robinson's a dangerous runner. He's going to get his. You always want to know that. He's like LeBron James. He's going to get his. No matter how many people you put on it, he's going to get his. And you've seen the strong running from him. And that was one of my keys, man. I talked a little bit early on Fox earlier this week. I talked about the keys to stopping the run. They're going to have to stop him. They're going to load the box, find a ways to limit his opportunities of getting in space. We knew exactly what the Falcons is coming out with. They came out with that pistol set. It was only one way it was going to go, downhill or it was going left or right. That's all they was doing all game. And they kept doing it because they said that my 11 is better than your 11 every single time. As you said, they kept running it down their throat every single play. And if you've seen times they got Bijan Robinson out in space, which is part of my notes. If they get him out in space, it's going to be problems for the old guy, Bobby Wagner. And they showed his limitations. He cannot tackle in space with a young pup like him that's ready to go. So they're going to figure out a way to find a way to. I ain't get to the coverage yet about Marshawn Lattimore and those guys. I mean, it was all over the place. My mind was just like, Commanders, like, come on, what are we doing out there, man? We grown men. We all get paid millions of dollars to go tackle. These guys struggle to tackle, man. And you can talk about Bijan Robinson. Let's just talk about the backup that's doing the same thing. So that has nothing to do with who was running the ball. It has everything to do with coaching and fundamentals in the game of football.
Man, you hit on it just straight out. You coming in hot first time on the show. Welcome in, Derwin.
Hey,
I apologize, guys.
You good, man. That's the type of energy that we need. I mean, frankly, when I'm sitting there looking at the tape, I'm like, those are not the keys I put out. I said, you got to tackle and watch where 7 is. And he was giving fits all day long. A lot of it was he moves at a different pace. I was talking to Nick before we came on. The guy moves at a different speed on film than everybody else does. It's kind of scary how he's right here, and the next thing you know, he teleports into a different location. Now he's 80 yards down the field. The guy is dangerous. You didn't have enough in the holster to try to shut him down. The adjustments that the Falcons continued to make, they were one step ahead of what Washington was doing. For a little bit, I was getting comfortable. I'm like, man, okay, 25's in the backfield. I'm not going to see, a big explosive run, but then you did see some powerful runs later on there. Absolutely. So this is definitely something that you got to, look in the mirror and check what do you want to be with your identity. Dan Quinn wants to be a tough physical squad where you got out-toughed and out-physicaled just out there in Atlanta. So something's got to change. You got to make some adjustments to really make sure you show up next week because it's not getting any easier. You've got a tough schedule. And, Nick, that's just not a performance that you have. And, frankly, the people that were injured, they weren't going to fix the defensive issues.
Right.
Right.
I mean, like I said,
you're
I don't want to
talking
butt
about
in too much. I mean, they even want to switch. I'm sorry, Nick, but they even want to. I want to say,
you're good.
Get out of man coverage. Get into the zone type of scheme here. They get out of the man coverage to go to zone, but there wasn't enough pressure to even cover your D-backs back there. Those guys was covering forever on the island, and you see all these Michael Penix finding ways to get the ball in between the coverage defects, which is the pockets. You know what I mean? You see them trying to play a little bit of cover two, hitting them across the middle wide open. I mean, it was just plays all over the field. It's like, man, I don't know if these guys should go man or they should go cover or go zone, because I mean, you seen those using like a little bit of window dressing from the offense pre-snap for the Falcons, trying to figure out what they was in man, and they were just exploiting everything that Dan Quinn and the whole defense was trying to fire at them, man. And it was just like, I just didn't know what to do out there, man. It was just more disappointing than such a veteran guy, full-time Pro Bowler, Marshawn Lattimore, just saying like he just can't catch his stride. And he talked about a little bit about injuries last year, and it's like, okay, you're back and better than healthy. You're 110% ready this year. What is the problem now, full-time Pro Bowler? I just want to know, Nick. I want to know.
It's amazing, one, because Marshawn Lattimore continues to get catch as many strays as possible in the chat on this show. It just seems like really with the fan base in general, and you get it, right? Like the team makes this trade for somebody like that last year. He's hurt, doesn't play a lot, and the conversation is, well, we make the trade so he's ready to go this season. Well, he didn't look ready in camp. Footwork, he said, totally wasn't there and was trying to get back. It was not quick, and we're still continuing to see. And it's not just Marshawn Lattimore, but he's absolutely a part of this. Listen, Bijan Robinson is who he is. He's found a way to be so good at kind of slipping out of the backfield and finding that open spot where nobody's anywhere near him, 6 or 7 yards upfield, maybe even less, turns that into a bigger run, turns that into a huge play. I mean, we had a 69-yard reception from him that led to a Kyle Pitts touchdown in that third quarter. I'm watching this going like, what? Like, at some point, you have to find a way to do something. Like Bijan Robinson is the guy you need to be zeroing in on. I'm seeing 17 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown, another 4 receptions, 106 yards. I mentioned that 69-yard reception led to the touchdown from Kyle Pitts where, yeah, like Anthony, you said this, it is so true. Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin weren't going to help anybody when it came to this defense. Now, could they have been in a position where they're up early and they're running the football a little bit more? They're not playing from behind and there's not as much pressure on the defense. They're eating clock and having longer drives. I mean, yeah, the game could have certainly been different from an offensive perspective, but Marcus Mariota was 16 to 27, 156 yards, threw a pick, was sacked a couple of times. Debo did what we expected from Debo, 6 for 72, a touchdown. Like, you're getting some spot moments from guys. Big 48-yard run from Chris Rodriguez. Anthony, you know how I feel about Chris Rodriguez. I wanted more. I wanted to see more. We got more. But, like, when I look at where this offense was, there were so many inconsistencies, and it kept sputtering and stopping and coming up short where they'd have these big returns and short fields, and then it results in a field goal as opposed to a touchdown. Now, was the offense looking this way, looking strong and with all this cohesion and, you know, comfortable the first couple weeks of the season? No, they weren't, but you still could have had Jayden Daniels and Terry McLaurin providing something that maybe bare minimum helps the offense stay on the field longer. And I guess Anthony just giving guys an opportunity to rest on the defensive side of the ball because they just looked gassed when it was all done.
The offense, you just kind of kept shooting yourself in the foot, you know, per se. It's one of those, like you say, you have a great drive, a great first shot, then you duff the next one. Then you put the third one in the water. So, like, that's the kind of situation that you have. You have a great play, then you follow it up with a penalty. You know, a bad penalty, some false starts, just the little inconsistencies from an offense that you didn't see the year before. And you're seeing that right now. And are you going to point and say, oh, it's because you don't have your starting QB? Mariota's been in the league for a long time. Everybody that's playing out there has been playing football for a very long time. These are fundamentals. These are day one fundamentals. I remember my Pee Wee League football there when they would say every year my coach would go, guys, the football field's width is 53 1/3 yards wide, and it's 100 yards in length, and you got 2 10-yard end zones. Every single year, he'd break that down so we would understand the fundamentals of it. Now, that's what you got to do out here. This is what they got to do, Derwin. They got to find a way to get things cleaned up on offense. Just breaking out of the huddle, getting off the ball, don't hold, put yourself in better body position. I mean, I can say the holding on Senate on the little boot, I've seen that kind of pop up a couple of times this year where teams are liking to put that wing a little bit wider way, and then it kind of affects where that 9 tech lines up at. But if they get off the ball, it puts them in a precarious spot. It puts them in a tough situation, and that holding happened there. So now you got to learn, all right, maybe I need to scoot in a little bit on this play so I am in a better position to make this block because I know it's a boot that's coming around. You got to start making that growth. This is what we need. I need to see this from the offense, help the coaches, help these guys think about some next level thinking, adjust those splits, and just make some changes. That way we can grow as an offense because, frankly, we're not hitting on all cylinders. Right? We're kind of sputtering a little bit.
Hey, I agree with both of y'all, man. When y'all talking about inconsistencies, that's huge for the Commanders. That's kind of been the same. That's kind of been the word of the franchise. The past franchise and the Commanders, the new rebuild team, has always been inconsistency and not finishing. So let's just talk about the offensive line. I'm going to talk about my big guys because that's my expertise in the trenches. And we talking about the left guard, Chris Paul. Had a good game last week, but the inconsistencies come this week. You see the big sack they gave up first quarter. I mean, he's sliding thinking he has a guard with him. That's, I don't know, between him and the Q, but some kind of way as a fan or analyst looking at that can't happen. That results in bad plays, fumbles. People go to hospital, people get hurt. I mean, that is bad when you're a pro and y'all not on the same page. How can you run a play and go into a huddle, hear the call, and not get that executed the right way, and you leave a free guy, defensive tackle, hitting your quarterback in the mouth? I mean, all game, it seemed like the pressure was there. It seemed like no one could figure out who to pick up when it came to protecting Mariota. Yes, Mariota has to make better decisions. Yes, but it's not all on Mariota. The receivers, he has a whole new receiver crew out there. You have a Luke McCaffrey out there that's out there playing a little bit more. You had the new guy, what's his name? I forgot his name. Martin. I think his name is Martin, right? The receiver with the dreads, 13.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
The new receiver out there. I mean, you have a whole new receiver group out there.
Tay Martin. You're talking about Tay Martin, right?
Yep, Tay Martin. Tay Martin. You have Lane out there. You have a lot of guys getting more reps. It's a next man mentality thing up, but you got to expect that it's going to be some type of inconsistencies. And those guys, I feel like today, was not ready. Receivers were not getting to them spot where they had to be so Mariota could deliver a ball on time. Guys just wasn't there. The rhythm wasn't there. And it could be, okay, we missing Terry McLaurin, but he's one guy. Let's be real. We missed him the whole training camp. Guys had to be ready for it. So, I mean, at this point, man, I played more football without Terry McLaurin this whole year up to this point. He only gave us, 2 games so far this season. But think about training camp. You had guys getting reps and reps and reps. So, man, guys got to understand that this is your opportunity, man. They have to take advantage of that, man. I feel like today, the new guys, the younger guys did not take advantage of the opportunity. We didn't see a lot of lane on special teams today. We didn't see none of those field flipping opportunities for the Commanders. We seen one, but we ain't seen really much of it. We needed more of that today where the offense was lacking. We could not get the offense going not once today. I mean, every time you say we had that big run by Rodriguez before halftime at 49-yarder, but after that, we ain't see any more splash, Nick. We ain't see anything. So I don't know how they bounce back after this. I think I go back to the drawing board and figure out what got them to this point. What did they lose, or what did they fall short last week of?
You know, you have these moments where you see the flashes, right? The Chris Rodriguez 48-yard run. Luke McCaffrey had a couple of moments, special teams, and, only had 2 catches for 21 yards, but did get in the end zone. There's these moments with this offense where you see what they're capable of. You see what their ceiling is. What concerns me is that they're just going to be playing from behind far too often this year. And Anthony, you certainly can attest to this more than me. When I watch this offense, we've talked about this a lot, right? Guys out in camp and the early start to the season and how long it was going to take for them to really gel and get in sync. And then you have Jayden out and you have Terry McLaurin out. I know we've mentioned those names a bunch, but that is one of the reasons why. When you look at this offense, Anthony, do you see a situation where it's just they continue to just not have any consistency because of the fact they don't have consistent names out there on the field, play after play, week after week, game after game? Or is there maybe a deeper rooted issue here?
When you go with the inconsistencies, I can point to a player every now and again, but frankly, there's a common denominator behind it all, and it's going to come down to the person in charge of that side of the ball, and that would be offensive coordinator. Right, I'm looking for a better play cadence, right? The way that you're calling the game. There was a particular moment in there where it was a first down and they went with like a swing screen and they ended up losing a couple of yards. And you ran on second down and then you only got 2. Now it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. That is never a good place to be. Never a good place to be. When you're playing quarterback, you hate it. Like, damn, coach, I missed 3rd and 8. I can't run but so many plays. When you continue to put your team in those situations as a play caller, you're not helping your team be successful. You're not helping your players get into those positions. You're playing it as if you have your top dog on the outside. Like, I'm going to go to him on this because he's cold at this route. He ain't out there. I would have loved to have seen lead with the run. That second drive in the game, I thought that was the game plan how it should have been. The first drive felt like it was experimental. And sometimes coordinators will do that. Well, they'll say, hey, let's try a couple of things and see what they line up and they give us. Well, frankly, the way the momentum of that game was going, Derwin, it wasn't no time to go and play around with some stuff because Atlanta went down the field without any issue. It was like hot butter through a knife. So as an offensive coordinator, I'd probably think and say, hey, you know what? 3 of these first 5 plays are experimental. Let me get to the good stuff. Let me get, when you put out your favorite artist and you're like, I know the single is number 7. I'm going to just skip to number 7. I'll listen to the whole album later, but let me get to the good stuff because I need that energy right now. I would have loved to see Cliff Kingsbury lead with the run, set the tone behind, start setting the line of scrimmage. You ran last week. Why are you trying to throw it this week? I don't understand the change in mentality. That's who it starts with for me.
Well, I agree with you, Anthony, on that. I mean, I love to see the big guys move some furniture up front as well, too. But when those guys are not moving furniture up front, it leaves a play caller like Cliff Kingsbury in a bind. What does he have to do when he keep playing behind the sticks? He have to figure out what is his best 3rd and 15 call. What is his best 2nd and 12 call? I mean, that's hard as a play caller when you're talking about trying to move the sticks and you're playing against playing with an offensive line that's not protecting well enough and receivers that's not on the same page. So it's hard. Then you got guys that's low in the box on the run, knowing that that's what they're going to do. They try to take away the RPO game several times that Mariota had nowhere to go. He was swallowed up every time he was really trying to pull the ball. They was ready for it. I mean, when you have an offense like the Commanders that's really very similar with it, you have 2 starting quarterbacks because the offense is very similar. It's easy to key in when you got new receivers out there on the run game. And I think that's what Atlanta did that, and then instantly by taking the run away from the start. And that's what kind of shook up Cliff Kingsbury when it came to him trying to figure out what's the best option to go with. In the past, just wasn't there either, man.
All right, so the Commanders sit at 2-2 now. You hope to get Jayden Daniels back. You hope to maybe get Terry McLaurin back, whether it's next week or a couple of weeks from there. Why that first quarter, though, might have set Washington back for the entire game, and how bad that first quarter really was just by the numbers alone. Plus, David Harrison going to join us in a little while as well. It is Commander Squad. And we are brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. So don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks it's a ton of fun. It's a simple way to kind of get more excited of football too. And you can kind of dabble in some of the predictions, if you will. You can pick more or less on player projections, like Josh Allen's passing yards, Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, which I don't know if you saw against the Bucs. They faked a tush push and Saquon Barkley ran in for a touchdown because that's what the Eagles can do. That's just how it works. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Locked On NFL for $50 in lineups after your first lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Caffeine has also just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. Really, what's great about it is they're poured like tiny little things. It's big taste, tiny shot. It's a great slogan, by the way. It's not really their slogan, but that's what they go with it, and it's perfect, right? You can always reach for your favorite flavor. It's refreshing. It gives you that quick lift for a busy day. You know it's going to last you a little while, and enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold by trying something new in-store, online, 5hourenergy.com, or, of course, as everything pretty much is, you can just check it out on Amazon, too. All right, Derwin Gray, Anthony Armstrong, Nick Ashooh. We will have David Harrison with us when he can jump on from his post-game responsibilities. I mentioned the first quarter, and there's a reason why I want to bring this up to you guys. Because, my God, until we had that 48-yard run from Chris Rodriguez to wrap up that first quarter, here's what the numbers look like. So we're talking less than a minute left in the first quarter. First downs, Atlanta 8, Washington 0. Total plays, Atlanta 22. Washington had 3 total plays. Total yards, 18 to -6. That is how the first quarter looked, Anthony, for the Commanders. and the Falcons until Chris Rodriguez had that big 48-yard run. And quite frankly, it just kind of felt like it was empty at that point with the way that the first quarter went. And, of course, they just played from behind the rest of the way. It was just – we all know this, right? Like, great starts can help set that momentum for the rest of the game, just like great starts to a season can help set that. Like, we know all their cliches, but, like, this stuff matters. It just felt like the Commanders – after that first quarter, the way that it went, the way Atlanta dominated the time of possession and just everything offensively, just felt like Washington was behind this entire game, Anthony.
You coming from behind, obviously, when you see your defense get rolled on, you kind of like, okay, shoot, now it's going to be one of those. You know, I felt like it was going to be a high-scoring game because I thought that the offense was going to kind of quickly adjust and find a way to keep moving the ball. They had success from time to time, but they just continue to put themselves in bad positions by having those penalties, having untimely drops, and like Derwin's been hitting on, just being inconsistent with the receivers on out wide. I mean, I saw the drop with Chris Moore. I mean, great catch, but I would have loved him to say, hey, if that ball is hanging in the air, young wideouts, if the ball is hanging in the air and you're waiting on it, just go get it. Just go up there and body it, catch it, and secure it. You'll get tackled right there. You can still do the first down celebration, but you're not in a position to catch it and turn up field. So it's those small nuances, okay, those small things that I need to see these young players come up and bring into their game. I do want to give somebody a pat on the back, even though it was one-sided start. Luke McCaffrey came alive. Yeah. Luke McCaffrey came alive, man. It was good to see him get the ball in the back of the end zone. It was good to see him on the kick returns and started making a few catches on offense, but then after a while, it went dry. So I'm not going to put that on him as a player because he only can do what the people tell him to do. You know what I mean? So he can only do so much, Nick. But the one-sided start, I don't want to play from behind. This is not an offense where you are meant to just run up 30 points, come back from 17 down. Like, that's not what this is, all right? This is a run-first offense that is very powerful, and he can run up some points, but you got to play where you're trying to set the tone and not try to answer what everybody else is doing.
I agree, man. I agree. Like I said, it's been flashes all game, man. Like, as we know, the Commanders are definitely worthy of being a great team. It's just when it scares the fans out there when you see the inconsistency from all over the field. Then you look at the coaching staff. And we know the staff has been put together. It's a great staff Dan Quinn has put together. So we know it ain't that. It's just more so just the time between all the new players and all the veteran players. We don't have all the guys. Like you said, you're looking for your superstar receiver out there to make that cut. Well, he's not there. You had to figure out now how to Tate Martin make that play. How do you set that up? Is that extra time or extra film being spent together during the week to prepare for this moment? Because it doesn't look like that happened. You look at the offensive line play once again, too much penetration in the middle where Mariota really couldn't set his feet off the time. Tuntu looked good, but once again, when you're talking about 5 guys up front, you need 5 guys doing the same thing at the same exact time. One can't be doing it great and the other's not because it's all going to show. And also, man, just like I said, Luke McCaffrey is coming along. I'm a big Luke McCaffrey fan. I'm happy for him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Last year, you heard all the talks about will he make the team this year and all that. He's coming along. He's finding his position. He's finding his way. He needs to keep coming along more because they're really going to need it right now in the times most. We don't know what the status of Terry McLaurin moving forward, but they got to find the next best thing because it's going to make it hard for Debo right now with a lot of traction. It's going to be pointed his way.
Derwin, I love Luke McCaffrey as much as you, and I am 100% with you in like the ability that's there in the flashes. Like, I don't think anybody looks at him as like a future number 1 receiver, but you look at him as somebody that can be a great returner, guy that can make plays for you as a wide receiver, maybe some trick plays, different types of things, versatile, which is really what Cliff Kingsbury wanted with this offense, right? A lot of guys that can be versatile. We know what Debo Samuel brings to the table. We've seen it. The more and more now, we're 4 games into this season. So where it used to be a quarter of the season, but we've added that stupid extra game. So we've got 17 games. Let's call it a quarter of the way through the season. That's where we are right now. I'm going to ask a question that has been an inside thought for me that's now going to be an outside thought. I'm going to say this out loud for the first time. Were the Commanders just overrated heading into this year? They won 12 games last year. They were a team that had a win total of 6.5, and whether you dabble in that or not, I can tell you right now that nobody expected them to win much more than 7, maybe 8 games at most. Now, just because the overall predictions or the expectations on a team are set a certain way doesn't mean that that's the result. They won 12 games. They go to an NFC championship game. The problem is this offseason became, well, what's next? What have you done for me lately, right? You don't get to pick up where you left off last year. You start over and people expect you to get back to that same level. They already overachieved. 12 wins last year, and NFC Championship, Anthony. And coming into this year, it's a tougher schedule. There's more film on Jayden. I know we've only seen him for a couple of games this year, so we can't really factor that in. But they're the oldest team in the NFL. And they're a team that, had they not won 12 games last year, we'd see them sitting at 2-2 and go, this is about where they should be. Rebuilding from the absolute top down, from ownership down, in a very short period of time. They're improved. They're a better organization. They're not a laughing stock. I talked about this team in various media outlets for years, and it's mostly been negative. This is at least about football. But Anthony, I'm going to start with you. I look at this and I say, maybe the expectations coming into this year were just too high for this team, and we need to remember they are actually still rebuilding this thing.
Here's what I got for you. I'm going to channel my inner Aaron Rodgers. RELAX. Relax. All right, relax. As you said, you've been sitting in a point where, frankly, this team and organization has been at the bottom third or fourth of the division. They're not used to being in a successful spot. They're not used to coming in with some backing and being the favorite in some games and things of that nature. Like, look, this is not how to lead. Nobody goes into the league and says, hey, well, if y'all take a step back, that's okay. Like, nobody does that. That is unacceptable. No, I'm not going to say that they're overrated, because I think that you actually got better on paper. When you bring in Tunsil and Debo, you think that you're improving, and Debo's put a lot out there. The performance is not hitting it. It's not where you want it to be. From the way the season started, 2-2. Frankly, I was talking with Scott Jackson. If they would have been 3-1, it's like, wow, they're 3-1, and with all the injuries. But then you're sitting here with all the injuries. You still don't have Jayden. You don't have Terry. It's still been a lot of inconsistency, and you're 2-2. So you're not that far out of it. It's just been a frustrating 2-2. It's been annoying to watch, and I know you're used to going to that negative side because that's easy. It's easy to just be over there and just say, oh, well, they're just going to drop the ball because that's what we always do. That's easy. It's difficult to stay on the optimistic side of things and say, hey, you know what? It's struggling right now, but things can be fixed, right? If this was later on in the year, I'd be like, ooh, baby. Like, if you're like, hey, we're fighting for a playoff position right now, I'd be like, you ain't going to have me up late at night so y'all can finish in this 8th or 9th position. Like, they're not playing in that position right now. You get what I'm saying? So I'm expecting them to come back, to improve, and to come and put up a hell of an effort next week against the Chargers and put some wins together and get their – I'm going to say something, I'm almost cussed, but they're going to get their stuff right. Like, that's the only way that you can do it in this league. That's it. There's no patty cake, pat them on the back, when you understand it. And you in the league. If you win the NFC Championship game, ain't nobody going to pat you on the back. Oh, well, they had injuries. Man, forget that. Y'all better get out there and win. You better show up like they about to take your damn check, because they will fire you. That's the thing. They will fire you and get somebody else. Matt Gay, good job. He got his stuff together, didn't he? Matt Gay did great.
That's true.
He did a good job.
Absolutely, man. I agree. I to Anthony, man. You spot on with it, man. I think the Commanders fans just responding the way they used to, man. Just the Washington organizations always choke guys up. It's like, well, our season's done. It's like, we want to throw the towel in already. It's like, relax. It's only 2-2. Like I said, it's been annoying 2-2, like you said, Anthony, because we seen what happened last year. But we look at last year's tape. It was a lot of wins on that schedule that could have easily been losses because of the inconsistent play as well. I mean, you had one big Hail Mary to Noah Brown last year that could easily been a loss. You know what I mean? They had a lot of sneaky wins in there that wasn't real good football play by the Commanders that was like, okay, that was a win. You know what I mean? So looking at this year, was the stakes too high for him? Is it a such thing as the possible Jayden Daniels slump this year? I don't know. It's too early to tell. Like I was saying, it's only been 4 games right now. We can't lean one way or another. I don't know if the Atlanta Falcons is really this good and the Commanders are really this bad. Like I said early on the year when I was talking to on other shows, that I don't know if Green Bay was that good or the Commanders that good. I mean, so we just have to relax and let it fold out. Like I said, later in the year, we start to see these type of inconsistencies. Then like, whoa, man, like, here we go again. The Washington Commanders fail us again. You know what I mean? Like, because every year it's always, this is our year. And I still believe the Commanders are still in a good situation and spot where they can really make a change, man. Like they said, they hurting. They missing their star quarterback. They missing Terry, which is more than just a football player, a captain. He's more a leader. He's a vocal leader in the locker room. He's one to keep things together. He's missing that. They missing that out there. So once they figure out how to keep that thing and tighten it tight, Bobby Wagner, all the leaders, Marshawn Lattimore, everybody get back together and get back to what really helped them start winning in the first place. They got to find that niche again, man, and get back to that as fast as possible.
I'm glad both of you were the calm voices of reason. Merle even thinks that Anthony should be a politician, which I see clearly you don't want to be, which I don't blame you. Who the hell wants to get into politics anymore, man?
Right.
Good God, no. But like I will say this, and again, it's coming from a different perspective for me as someone that has been in the media for years and covered this team and a DC like I'm seeing a lot of comments right now of fire this guy, get rid of this guy. I'm having flashbacks to previous seasons and previous eras. But listen, I get it because I can carry over. I grew up a fan of this team. I was lucky enough to start off in DC and, be in the sports talk world and host shows and talk about them. And whether it's angry, everything I've always said about this team is I give a damn about it, whatever it is. I emotionally care about this team. It feels like there was a little bit from some people, a little too much of the expectation being, and again, we talk about expectations. It's dangerous because it's a lot of people yapping and it's social media. It's a lot of different things. Of course, I'm being a hypocrite because I'm yapping about it myself. But, when we look at it, there's a lot of expectations on, okay, you won 12 games, you overachieved, but you also then went to an NFC championship game. You should be able to do it again. That's not how the NFL works. I mean, look at this. Look at the Carolina Panthers. They beat the Falcons 30-0 last week. Look at what the Panthers did this week. Week by week, things change so much. The thing that I will say is that if you are the Commanders at this point right now and you're looking at what happened today against Atlanta, it was a road game. You were without your number one wide receiver, who I understand has been a little quiet to start the year, but you should have expected that. Everybody should have expected that to a point. You're without Jayden Daniels. This is still a team that has enough to be a playoff team. Do I think that they're a 12-win team again? I don't, but I didn't come into this year thinking that they were going to be. It's just a harder road for them to get to that point. What I do know is they're willing to adapt and change. And we've seen in the past, like when Ron Rivera was there, great guy, but was just stubborn and did not want to make changes. Whatever the lineup looked like, whatever your offensive line was, whoever was in what package, it just didn't matter. He's like, well, we're sticking with it. I see a coaching staff now that's willing to change things up, Anthony. They're willing to sit there and say, the offensive line isn't working. Let's switch out what we've got going on at left guard and right guard. Boom, they did that. So the question now becomes, other than obviously having Jayden back and maybe Terry McLaurin, I don't know, what other changes are they going to make, if any, after this game because of what they see on film? And that's, I think, the biggest thing for me is figuring out what mistakes were made and how you can fix them. If they can do that, this team's going to be on the right track. If they stay stubborn and you can't fix anything, then we got a bigger problem, Anthony. I think you're muted, buddy. Oh, you are so muted. He did it again. Oh, you muted again.
The mute button.
Every show.
I was like 2 shows good without the mute.
Unbelievable.
Damn it. See, it's little stuff like that. Little stuff like that, man. Execution.
Yep.
All right. No, but for real though,
are you going to learn from that? What you got on film, right? Not going to make that mistake again.
There's a point where a coach has to go in there, and even as a parent, right? If you got kids, sometimes you got to go in there and just turn up the volume, right? And then be like, "Oh, coach is a little upset today," because you need to let everybody understand the severity of this thing. The chat's going crazy. They want to fire people. They want to, didn't address the pass rush. I can feel you, Merle, saying that they don't have that one go-to just pass rush, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons. They don't got that guy. Right? What they have is a unit that's supposed to go and work together. It wasn't hidden today. But whatever you do on Monday, you got to turn up the intensity. You got to turn up the intensity. We used to look at the league in quarters as well, because that first quarter, 2-2, you're like, all right, that ain't really what we wanted to be. We were hoping to be in a 3-1 position. Now we're going into the next quarter of the games. You got a big opponent that's coming in pissed off with the Chargers. They're not going to be easy either. You talk about pass coverage. You got to get your stuff together. So as a coach, as a Dan Quinn, as a Ken Norton, as a Joe Witt, be pissed off every interaction. I don't want no smiling all week. You got to turn up the intensity and understand this is not what we can do. We cannot do this and think we're going to be a good team and win. That's the way I look at it. I'm always going to look at it as a player in the locker room and the type of thing I want to see from my coach and from my leadership. Because you're playing for your job, you're playing for your livelihood, and you're putting bad stuff on tape. Yeah, you're putting bad stuff on tape. And the thing about this league, what makes it so beautiful, is that people are going to go out there and exploit it, and they're going to do it again. And they're going to do it again and again and again until you get it fixed. Now, and then we get to talk about it, or you get it fixed, and then we get to talk about how you got it fixed. That's what I want to see it fix. Firing coaches ain't gonna fix nothing right now. You can say it worked in Atlanta. I don't know. That was a completely different Atlanta team than what I had seen on tape. And I mean, kudos to them. Michael Penix played his ass off. Like Drake London did what he did. Daryl Mooney did what I saw on tape. The wheel routes is what I saw on tape. That stuff is on tape. So as a player, if you're on the defensive side, if you're a defensive coach, you need to watch that much more tape. I'm seeing stuff that's open. I'm seeing things like you got to ask yourself, are you doing enough? As coaches, are you doing enough? Turn up the intensity. Put a little bit more heat on there. Turn from medium high to high. Get the thing bubbling a little bit more. That's the only way you're going to have to make a change. You can't keep coming in here coddling and say, we'll get it next week. We'll get it next week, because eventually we'll get it next year. And then we'll get it on the next team. And that ain't the type of vibe I'm trying to go with. So get it together, man. Turn up the intensity. Just get that much more focused and squeeze the lemon. Get the juice out of them.
Absolutely, man. Lattimore made Drake. Man, I don't even want to get on that point. But as far as just moving forward, man, I just think that the team has to create more of a competitive spirit. It looked like the Atlanta Falcons had just more willpower. They just wanted it more than the Commanders team out there from all three phases, from special teams, kickoffs, everything. They just seen guys running. You seen so many guys jumping on Crosby Murray's back, like all black jerseys are swarming, just like they wanted it more. They came in pissed off. And you talk about pissed off a lot, Anthony. The coaches got to get pissed off and get that into the players. Players was just too calm, like, it's not the first down. It's Bijan Robinson. Like, that's what he's supposed to do. No, find a way to stop it. You see some of my leaders out there like Bobby Wagner walking in between plays and just looking confused. I was like, that's not a good sign as your defensive leader when you have other guys behind you like Martin, those guys that look towards you to be able to make a play to set the table for this defense. I just think overall they have to go next week, get back to the drawing board, get back out there in Virginia on that dirty practice field and make a more competitive spirit. I mean, ramp it up, man. You got to ramp it up and make these guys be in a more adverse situation, whether it's JD 5 back or it's Mariota playing or if you bring up Sam Howell from practice squad. I don't care who it is. They all have to be in a competitive situation where these guys know how to respond when things are back, when they're back against the wall. Because today they back against the wall. They was on the road. I mean, guys, it's like these guys like they didn't want to play, like they didn't get enough sleep that night. I mean, it was just hard for me to watch. I was just like, dude, like, what are y'all gonna do next week? Y'all got to figure out a way where you can say the Chargers next week are pissed off. So it's only gonna get harder every time you step on the field. As we know, Anthony, Nick, it's hard to win in the NFL. It's any given Sunday for a reason. It's up and down, as Nick said. You can win one week and get blown out the next week. You cannot take these games for granted, man. And I'm not saying this is an easy win for the Commanders, but it definitely shouldn't have looked like this today.
It's one of the ones that we're talking like they got drummed. And talking to Nick before they got on here, I almost wish they would have just got beat by 14 or more, because it was too close of a game. It was like, man, they still kind of in it. Like, as bad as it is, as bad as it looks, they're still in it. I mean, I don't know how many drives, how long the scoring drives were for Atlanta, but I feel like they had to be 7 plays and longer, right? They had to be 7, 8, 9, maybe a couple of 12s. I don't know. They seemed to just do whatever they wanted. I think about the out and up to Drake London. Like, you think you pushed them back into like a 1st and 15, and then next thing you know, boop, you get 30. Like, that's tough, man. And as a defense, like it sucks to be out there like taking that as a defense, because they had to know we can't stop these guys, right? Whatever we're calling, they have another answer. They're one step ahead. Like, nothing was working. And this was one of those games, Nick, you always talk about the defense has to carry the load. After that first couple of drives, I was like, the offense better bring that daggum lunch pail. Like, y'all got to score the buckets. And it was on Cliff. And I will give players, I always hold players accountable, but I'm also one like, hey man, I can only run what you calling. You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to see some more. I did like the shot deep to Jaylen Lane, but that was a hell of an interception by Watts. I mean, that man came out of nowhere. So hell of a play. That's all I could do with you. Hey, shrug.
It was. I mean, honestly, that was a Willie Mays interception. The way that he just went over his shoulder and made. I mean, that was sometimes. Yeah, listen, you can't control those. Sometimes there's really great efforts from the defense, but again, you talk about this team needing to almost getting beat by more, and it kind of felt like Again, they were outgained 118 to -6 until that Chris Rodriguez run at the end of the first quarter. So they're playing from behind the entire way, yet still only lose by a touchdown. They recover that onside kick, and situation changes. Who knows how that plays out? The key here now is how they respond to adversity. And I think that's the most important thing. That's what we got to figure out. We'll talk to David Harrison. He's going to join us in a few. He said the losing locker rooms take a little bit longer. So we'll talk to him as soon as he can jump on here. And of course, look ahead to the rest of the season and next week as well for this team, because you got to forget it. You got to move on and you got to keep going. It's Commander Squad. Oh, and you can always, all right, let me try this again here as we jump on. A little technical difficulty. Boom. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla? This threw me off the minute I saw this, and it is fantastic. Well, maybe riding a T-Rex. It's confidence, pure confidence. Also a really crazy visual, but it's right in front of me, and I'm going to go with it. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugient Go Long. And well, when it comes in here, it's not just another pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications, 1 dual-action formula, so you can go the distance. The process is simple. It's connected to a board-certified doctor. It's 100% online, and if you're prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly to your door. If prescribed, your treatment will continue to be sent discreetly to your door. If you're ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom, well, guys, don't worry. You can head to RUGIENT.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your order. That's RUGIENT.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL, and make sure to use the code so they know that we sent you there, so you can get all that extra confidence that's there. I'd love to see a little more confidence from the Commanders moving forward. Yes, Anthony, I see your face. Just go with it.
What did you say? A bald eagle on top of a bison? What was a bald eagle?
I was lost for a second. I was like, kind of imagine that.
And that. Let me tell you something. That is the reason why you sometimes have. Look, I didn't write this. It's there for me to give to the people. I'm supposed to deliver the information when it's there. A bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex. I don't know where that image came from, but I want to meet the person that thought of that, because it is a fantastic thought. Maybe that's what this Washington defense needs, is a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex. That's what the read actually said. Look, I will say this. Sitting at 2-2, I think we all know, is everybody likes to talk about early on in season and how many teams, so we got Ravens and Chiefs as we're doing this show live. Depends on if you're obviously listening to this podcast or watching us later. There's talk about what a team that starts 1-3 does the rest of the season. We've had one team that started 1-3 and winning the Super Bowl, and that would be 2001, and that was the Patriots. So we're going to have that conversation about any team early in the season. The Commanders sit at 2-2, Anthony. It's a game that you want to have back, but it's also not a game that they got completely whooped in. And there are some things to take away from this that are positive. We've touched on some of those, I think, a little bit. One guy that hasn't gotten enough credit, though, I think, on the show, being rightfully, look, you watch a game, you see things that go wrong. We're going to address that. Debo Samuel, 6 for 72 and a touchdown again. Once again, you are getting what you need from Debo Samuel week after week after week. You're not maybe going to get 1,400 yards receiving that 4 years ago we put up with the 49ers, but you're getting everything from him. And he's making the plays, and he's always a threat as a running back, and he's a threat to break off a big kick return. All of these things just add more value to a Commanders team that can use every single boost they can get. They're getting every bit of their money's worth and more from Debo Samuel this year.
Debo Samuel can have my chain. He can have mine because he balled, man. he balled. It was the fact that 4th and 1, and then it was we're going to Debo, right? Those are clutch moments. It's not a big catch, but that was a great catch, a great route, key situation. The touchdown pass, that was a dime to get that little quick stutter and go, because they ran the out route on the other side and they went back to it on the play to Debo to close out. Debo is doing what you need him to do. He's showing up. He's being a reliable receiver. Hell, if you listen to any of the audio on the social media or him being mic'd up, he's been a hell of a leader. I think that's something that people didn't really expect from Debo Samuel. You probably came in here thinking he was going to be fat and eating all the snacks. The man is in shape, and he is taking the pigskin to the house instead. Debo's balling. I'm happy. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of how he's been performing. And I love that he's been a consistent force. And you talk about the 1,400 yards receiving. I think he could get active more down the field if they would open it up that way. Instead of going so horizontal and hoping to catch a crease, throw the ball downfield a little bit. That's all I'm asking for. Merle was asking for some Air Coryell, and some of y'all suckers don't know who Air Coryell is. That's one of the originators of the air raid. He wants to get the ball down the field. He wants to air it out a little bit more. I'm down to taking some of those shots. Shots down the field will help open the offense up, Nick.
I agree with you, man. Definitely getting deep down the field, man, with Debo definitely is going to help out with that. But once again, like I said, we're losing Noah Brown, not having him out there, man. It's trying to keep the offense consistent, man. Trying to give a lot of what Debo is used to doing, a lot of those slot routes, a lot of those misdirection, giving Debo the comfortability of doing what he likes to do, putting him in the backfield. So I definitely want to see those long, deep shots down the field, man. Definitely want to see him play out of his game a little bit and really be a true leader on the field and go get those jump, man, one-on-one balls. I want to see him go win those because we know Debo can get that yak yards that you need, man, them yards out the catch. So I'm excited, man, to see what happens moving forward as you start to get guys more healthy moving forward down the line.
All right, we got David Harrison on with us now. We have obviously looked at everything that's gone on in this game. Pros, cons, good, bad, all of that. You were in the middle of it. You were in that locker room. You're standing out there on the field right now as it's quiet, it's calm. What is the mood? What is the reaction? And what are just the overall mentalities of everybody with the Commanders now sitting 2-2, David?
Yeah, pretty somber. You know what I mean? As you would expect. Not a lot of, interest in like moral victories of like, oh, well, even, down like half your starting offense, you still put up X amount of points in an NFL game. No interest in that kind of stuff, which is what you want to hear, right? And just a lot of conversations taking place on, how do you get to where this team can start faster on the road? Because obviously, 4 games in, we've seen 2 completely different versions of this team, the version at home and then the version on the road. And obviously we got another road game next week. And, I think it's interesting because the conversation came up during the week leading up to this game that, how dangerous is it to face this Falcons team coming off of getting embarrassed against Carolina Panthers? Well, now the next question is going to be how dangerous is it facing a Chargers team that just got embarrassed by the New York Giants, right? Like, and I don't know how much of that is a real conversation, how much that really plays into it. Anthony and Derwin, you two can speak to that obviously better than I could, but that's just going to be part of the conversation this coming week. We already know it's coming. And then the long trip to the West Coast is always a conversation. But at the end of the day, the players, I think what you like to hear is I know there's some, disgruntled, feelings about the coaches and maybe the schemes and all that stuff after this game. But the players are all putting it on themselves, which is the only place they can put it if they're going to help it be successful.
You obviously watch this too. And we've spent a lot of time talking about the defense, and yeah, you got to see all this, buddy. Now that the dust is settled, and you've talked to the coaches. I mean, that obviously you gave us what the coaches are feeling. You gave us what the team is feeling. You gave us all that. But I want to know what you actually saw here, because we've spent a lot of time here looking at the defense. Marshawn Lattimore, this may shock you. Marshawn Lattimore's name has been in the chat quite a bit today before you popped on here. But, look, we know they've made some changes. The offensive line, they swapped out a couple of guys and left guard, right guard. Last week it worked. Like, they're willing to make some changes here. Do you think, and do you want to see some more changes maybe made from just the way the depth chart looks for them?
I mean, in 2025, not really, because, and some of my insiders text me during the game, Marshawn's got to get benched. And the only response I have is, okay, well, if he's getting benched, then is it Noah Igbenogany or is it Anthony Hamilton Sr. that you're putting out there in his place? Because those are your options. You know what I mean? Like, those are your options. And fans don't like to hear this, obviously. And I understand the frustration. I don't want to tell a fan hey, don't be frustrated. But we had the same conversation with Emmanuel Forbes last year early on training camp. It's like, okay, you want Emmanuel Forbes benched, but who is starting in place of him that's better? That's the question you have to answer. It turns out the answer was Mikey Sandersill. So is Mikey Sandersill the answer again? If you want to bench Marshawn Lattimore, then you put Noah Igbenogany in the slot, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe there's gonna be some people who want that. But I think honestly, and again, we're just off of this, so everybody says the same thing. We gotta go watch the tape. But I can just say that, from my perspective and talking to several guys in the locker room, a little bit on the record, a little bit off the record, at snap motion and the adjustments that have to come defensively, especially in the second, third levels with at snap motion, it's easier said than done, and it's not getting done correctly, consistently And I think that, look, every corner in the NFL is going to get beat. Every receiver is going to have a drop. Every D lineman is going to blow a sack. But the areas where you're miscommunicating or someone's not on the same page and you're not even giving you're giving yourself a chance to fight the play, those are the ones that have to get cleaned up, because if you're competing and you just get beat, like that just happens. You know what I mean? And it's not to excuse it completely, but like that's just going to happen. It's those ones that for me, I'm more concerned about than anything else.
Yeah, I go back to the one on that double move. You know, he was in good transition initially, but his Latimer's eyes get back to the quarterback, right? He'll look back and try to play the quarterback and get handsy, and that's been the biggest, the issue essentially. That's where you get the holdings and the PIs, and teams know that. I mean, frankly, Atlanta's played against them for years, so they would have a little bit of a tell of how to go against them. I'm sure that Drake London would have a bit of a ball on him, but. Yeah, you really got to start to have conversations, not just let the coaches tell you. I was on here saying how the coach needs to fix some stuff, but I've always found that the DBs usually have the ability to change some things up if it works between them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, hey, you know what? Me and the safety, let's sit down and talk about this a little bit. How do you want to treat this, right? And the coach is like, hey, the coverage is this. But when it's a bunch or they motion to a bunch, y'all talk how y'all want to do it, right? Understand how you want to do it. I can go on and on about the difficulty of that in motion, motioning into running routes, because you go from number 1 to number 3 like that, right? And number 3 could be covered. I'm talking about the third receiver from the outside in. Number 3 could be covered by a linebacker. But if number 3 ends up being Darryl Mooney traveling with speed and he goes from 1 and at the snap of the ball, he becomes number 3, you may have a linebacker that overruns. Now you have Mooney's running this. A lot of things can happen back there. So on TV, it's easy for us to hear and say, he needs to get beat. He needs to get fired. Cut the coach. They're going to get some very, very smart, schemes. And you almost have to, frankly, good thing is you don't have to play these suckers again, but you're going to see these same concepts. So when you look at it like, okay, how do we fix this? How do we self-scout it? It may mean watching some college games. For me, I've always found that whenever you're going against speed or whenever you're going against a lot of movement and stuff like that, the best thing to do, or what always would disrupt us as an offense, is where you quickly take it to us and you decide quickly for us what's going to happen. All those times where Bijan was behind and he was slowly leaking out, he was just waiting for somebody to give him a read. If somebody was playing outside, he was going to break inside. It was just an option route. But if they would have changed it up and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to take him. I'm just going to jump him from the go. That's going to slow somebody's processing speed up. Somebody may come also, but I'm saying is that you have to change your game. You can't just all back up and just let something happen underneath, because teams are picking you apart. I got a little animated there. I got a little passionate about it. But I mean, that's the type of adjustment you have to make right now. At least on the defensive side.
Anthony, you spot on, dog. And I feel like Dan Quinn, they tried to switch things up. They went from the man-to-man where Marshawn Lattimore was literally getting toasted, as we say, playing with poor technique, eyes in the backfield. Like, you trying to jump a route that you seen before, like guys like Trayvon Diggs, you see he's struggling with that, trying to be in college and do the jump the route thing. But you can't do this with pro guys that watch film. As you see, when in the league, man, you got to watch film and know your opponent. They know that Marshawn Lattimore gets horny. He wants to make those plays. He wants to get back to that Pro Bowl days back in New Orleans. Those days are far gone now. You have to make a new name for yourself here in Washington, and you're not off to a good start right now. From last year to now, your technique is just not there. And I'm just more so disappointed as a guy that's watching the Commanders a little bit more now, a guy that of his stature as a full-time Pro Bowler, he's making rookie mistakes. You know what I mean? He's not playing what the offense is giving him. He's trying to be a hero rather than doing his job. And I think that's the issue right now for a lot of the DBs, man. They're trying to be heroes more than just do their job. I mean, guys like Dan Quinn is trying to play man-to-man because he wants to send more pressure. But now he has to fall back because now his top corners are getting beat. So now you're not getting pressure. Now you're giving Penix all this time, and now he's able to exploit the pockets that's in the zone coverage, as you're saying. on the goal line, finding an open guy right in between two defenders. Like, it's because it's time, not pressure, not getting there. And the D-line has to be able to get more pressure. Von Miller, you're the old guy. You're the guy that we're holding all these pass rush summits. We're not seeing any pass rush right now. That has to get down there and have to make more plays in the backfield. You're giving quarterbacks too much time, and I promise you, their DB is going to have a living hell the rest of the season if they don't find a way to collapse that pocket more.
You're right. I mean, that's the thing. You don't have the one go-to that's always getting to the pass rush. And if you get more pass rush, then the DBs can play with their eyes and they can be a little bit more aggressive. So yeah, we're all saying the same thing. Everybody's saying I'm lying. I ain't lying. The coverage has not been good enough. The game against the Raiders, they should have gotten diced up for more passing yards, but they unfortunately had some sacks in that game. Now you got a game where they didn't get any sacks, they didn't get any tackle, they didn't tackle Bijan Robinson. He was doing what he wanted to do. They got outcoached, they got outplayed, they look slow. All of those things are the truth. That's what they're going to say in there. So I mean, you ain't going to say I'm lying. I ain't got no reason to lie. This is what's happening. Now, can I have a positive spin on it? Absolutely, but they got to get better. They got to get better. And how you going to do it? You can't go in. There ain't nobody out here in free agency pool that's going to fix it. It's all whoever's in the building, 53, 54 plus the practice squad, David.
Yeah, I think you guys make a lot of really great points, right? So Anthony, like to one of your points, there were multiple times up there in the press box where not just myself, I'm sitting next to Chick Hernandez, WSA 9, and we're both talking. I mean, honestly, there were some special teams plays as well. We're talking about go, fire off, get in the way, like go disrupt the play. Don't just wait for the play to come to you. And then Derwin, to your point, like the funny thing about all this is when Marshawn was traded to the Washington Commanders, I reached out to everybody I knew in New Orleans and said, hey, I know his reputation. I used to cover the Buccaneers, so I know all that kind of stuff. What don't I know? And what everybody explained to me is with the Pro Bowls and the accolades and everything else, you wouldn't think this. Marshawn is not a technical player. Marshawn has never been a technical player. What Marshawn has always been is a guy who's going to outdog your best dog. He's a little bit injured, like not like currently injured, right? But just the injuries pile up. He's a little bit older, and we've seen this before. Like when you live off your wheels, and once the tread starts to wear down a little bit, you need something to fall back on. And I think the question right now is, can Marshawn fall back on anything outside of just being a guy who's willing to outdog your best dog? Because right now, whether it's AJ, whether it's Drake London today, their best dogs are starting to be bigger. And some of these dogs are not like, look, I like Drake London, right? But Drake London is not like the cream of the crop in the NFL today. So those are, I think, some of the concerns. But again, when it comes to the benching and all this stuff conversation, the question always has to be, who are you benching him for, and why does that make your unit better? Because honestly, I don't think that it does.
And that's where a lot of this goes. And we've seen this tons of times over the years, and whatever game and whatever team and whatever season it's been, it's okay. We want to fix something, but like, what's the remedy right now? And the reality is there's not a lot of guys in the free agent market that will make a difference. And if there are, there's a reason why they're free agents. And it's just something that this team is going to have to deal with. All right, coming up, we're going to look ahead, early look at the Chargers game next week, what this team is going to need to do, what changes there could be. And we just hope that they learn from what exactly happened on film. It's Commander Squad. And of course, the NFL season is here, as you know, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, any of them. Just take something. $5. All you got to do, put $5 down on it. And if it hits, you're going to unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the entire app. That's a lot. That's a lot of $5 bets, $50 bets, whatever you want to do. All because of that. FanDuel's great. I did look, by the way, Commanders now plus 330 to win the division. Eagles separating themselves a little bit at minus 330 for those of you that maybe want to dabble in that a little bit. There's some value in the Commanders if you think they can come turn this thing around, and you're going to look at this from a positive spin, and then they're going to win the division over the Eagles. Although the Eagles, let's be honest, if you watch them every week, something happens on special teams that helps them win a damn game. If you are looking to get in on this, $5, $300 in bonus bets. You go to FanDuel.com, you download the FanDuel app today, and that is all you need to do to get started. All right, so one of the things that we've kind of looked at here in the defense this week versus last week has been the fact that, hey, they got after the quarterback. I know Geno threw 3 touchdowns last week, but they got after Geno Smith. And that third quarter of the Raiders game it felt like they were just relentless. Every single play, they're making his life miserable. You didn't feel that today. You didn't see that today. The secondary got picked apart, and listen, the Falcons have a lot of weapons. They got a lot of guys they can throw the football to. David, I'm going to start with you. We look ahead next week. We've got the Chargers. You mentioned travel and all these different things. Justin Herbert and the Chargers like to throw the football. Amari Hampton's starting to get on. He had some big runs today. Now, I know they lost to the Giants, but sometimes there's always that little bit of a, hey, new quarterback, we don't know what to expect, ups and downs, all those different things. I think we're going to have a very, very angry Chargers team and a very well-coached Chargers team that they're going to have to see next week.
Yeah, I think so step number one is not even find your identity. Like, this team knows what their identity is. What they're not doing is they're not coming out on the road and showing their identity and imposing their identity on other people. So that's step number one. Come out with that kind of level of fight. Javon Kinlaw talked after the game about, himself mostly, but just, not having enough aggression out there, not doing enough to really get in the mix and impact, every single play. That's number one. Number two is don't do too much, because listen, the full expectation, I'm just going to speak for myself, but the full expectation is that Jayden Daniels is going to play next week. And Jayden Daniels, the reason I feel that way is because this is Los Angeles. He's going home. I don't know that there's anything that's going to keep that guy off of the field in this game specifically, but you can't go out there and, Jayden's poise has been something we've all praised, over and over again. So I don't know how much I'm worried about, but you can't go out there trying to be the superhero like you guys were just talking about and say, okay, I'm back, 5 is back, and now everything is going to be fine again. You just got to go out there and play Commander football, do the kinds of things, because the opportunities are there, right? I mean, I think if I were to tell you this offense was going to put up this many points, even against the Atlanta Falcons, you're probably looking to say, okay, that's probably a pretty good game for Washington. It just turns out that the other side kind of, the floor kind of fell out from under them. So the opportunities are there, even without Terry, even with Sam Cosmi still on the mend, even without John Bates. The opportunities are there. They just got to execute and capitalize on them. I'll tell you what, the play that kills me the most here, guys, today that can't happen next week is that deep ball to Jalen Lane, because I think that's there. And I think if it's a little bit more outside, more towards the numbers than on the inside, it's not an interception, and it might be a touchdown. He's a rookie, so I don't know, but it could be a touchdown.
Hey, you know what? When you said that, Dave, I saw it kind of ball did drift in, and from where Watts was at to drop back and make that over Willie Mays catch. Hell of a play, and very much, if the ball's outside, but I kind of feel like Jalen took an inside route and kind of took it a little bit more on a skinny post. I have to go back and look at tape, but you want to change those plays around. I will say this. You got a Giants fan in the chat that's like enjoying life right now. I know the endorphins are riding high for you, so you feel good about that. Thanks for giving us the recipe to how to handle the Chargers. But I think next week, man, look, you're going up against a team that wants to – they can throw the ball. They got a big, tall quarterback in Herbert, so you're going to be challenged again. B-Town Bones was talking about playing with aggression on the defensive side. Maybe you do just like what Marshawn Lattimore is. Let him be a dog. Say you go get go get Quentin Johnson. That's your matchup all week, period. Whatever we playing on this backside, don't worry about it. You got him. Let him be that person. Let him play with that mode. Maybe that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? Switch some things up, because you don't want to let the Chargers get out there and get throwing the rock around because they'll put some points up on you.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both of y'all, man. I just think that right now, next week, we got to get back to what it is like we in the locker room, Anthony. It's always about us. It's never about them. And as we know, when the Commanders are playing Commanders football, like Nick is talking about and Dave is talking about, when they playing Commander-style football, they're hard to beat, man, when you're worrying about just them. When they're not worrying about who's on the other side or what color's that helmet and worrying about Commander's way and playing that brotherhood Terry always talking about, they're a hard team to beat, whether Jayden's on the field or Jayden's not on the field. And I think next week they have to bring that mentality to the West Coast. It's about us. No matter where we go, it's about us. Defensive line has to do their job. And guess what? It doesn't get no easier for Mr. Marshawn Lattimore again, because he's going to see another big dog next week. A way more better and advanced and more experienced and savvy wide receiver in Keenan Allen. So he might as well go ahead, lace his bootstraps up tighter and figure out a way to make himself a little bit more better this week and challenge himself and not look at this room as I'm the old guy. I know everything, and really learn how to be a student and reevaluate his playing style and figure out how do he get better from this week to next week. That's important. That's how you get better every single week. It's always finding a way to get better at something small. As you know, Anthony, getting into the practice, but you always work on one thing. You can't fix everything in one practice. Worry about one thing. And Marshawn Lattimore has to figure out what's that one thing that's going to make him better next week.
Get that thing fixed.
Short memory. Short memory for everybody. That's what you got to do. Forget that leave this game in Atlanta, move on from it, and then deal with the fact that you've got Justin Herbert coming in next and get after him. That's going to be the big thing. All right, we got a big group today. There was a lot that went on. We'll be back midweek as well with another one of these shows. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribing to the Locked On Commanders channel on YouTube. That's the most important thing. Commanders Chargers will be next week, and this was the last 1:00 Eastern game for the Commanders for the next 2 months. So they're going to be all over the place. Sunday night, Monday night, 4:25 Eastern, all of these different things. So that maybe that'll switch things up a little bit for them. It's the 1:00 kicks. We don't want those anymore. We'll kind of switch that up. So Derwin, great to have you on, man. Really appreciate you coming on this show. We'll see more of you throughout the season as well. David, always appreciate it right out there. Anthony, I appreciate you getting me a little more positive. I'm worried about the way this thing looked, but I've also spent years yelling about this team and getting upset. So we're just going to 2-2. It's going to be back. Chargers next week. Appreciate everybody that jumped on in the chat. Make sure you subscribe.